Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the January 11th school board meeting. All members are present. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now we will administer the oaths of office to those that were reelected this fall. And I invite our council, David Holman, and Dick Bergstrom, and Nellie Corman, and myself over to the podium.
Nellie, you want me to take a little bit of a drum roll.
On the end. Right back here.
Oh, this is for you.
I want to break the camera.
Well, congratulations on your election, and I know you are the biggest boosters and volunteers in our school district, and one of the many people that work for our district without any thought of compensation or fame or glory, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure the voters do too. But before you begin your next 4 years of fun, I have to swear you in. So if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
and that I will discharge faithfully the duties of the office of a school board member
and I will discharge faithfully the duties of the
School board member.
sorry, school board member of Independent School District Number 271
School board
Member
of
Independent School District 271.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
to the best of my judgment and ability.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
Gotta have that written down. That's what they're trying to fire the tongue from laughing.
It's not as
You
easy
guys
as it looks.
laughed over there.
Is that right? All right, class, repeat after me.
And now I will turn the election of officers over to the vice chair, Rick Oliva.
Do we have a nomination for chair of the school board?
Mr. Vice Chair?
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules when it comes to electing officers and move a slate of candidates forward.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Vice Chair, I'd like to move the name of officers. For chair, we have Maureen Bartolotta. For vice chair, we have Don Steigoff. For clerk, Nellie Corman. For treasurer, Jim Sorum.
And deputy clerk?
And deputy clerk is Rod Zitkovich, if I'm saying his name correctly.
And I'll second that.
Second. Is there any discussion on the names of officers in this slate? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
None.
None. Okay, congratulations, everybody, on your newly appointed offices,
Thank you.
Elected.
Good job.
elected offices.
Very good. Thank you. All right, so now we'll ask for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That brings us to recognition of students, staff, and public, and this evening we have a friend. The school district is fortunate to have businesses and organizations supporting our learners and the community of Bloomington. In appreciation of these collaborative efforts, the school board recognizes our friends of education. We welcome Ms. Tamara Sieve, Executive Director of Community Services, to do the introductions of our friend for this evening, the Walzer Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Bartolotta, Superintendent Fujitaki, and school board members. In the fall of 2014, the Walzer Foundation reached out to Gary Cresson after reading an article in the paper about the opening of our new Bloomington Career and College Academy. They wanted to learn more about the program and how it would support students. As we met with Walzer Foundation, we learned that they provide grants to organizations that promote education and youth development to at-risk youth and underserved populations, as well as just really dedicated to the community that they have their business in. The Walzer Foundation thought that the new Bloomington Career and College Academy fit their mission. And they were also interested in working with us to build an automotive program for the fall of 2016. So they have been a great supporter of the development of Bloomington Career and College Academy. The Walzer Foundation also granted $50,000 this year to the Bloomington Career and College Academy to help us get our first year going and work on developing new pathways as well as our original pathways. They are an integral partner of our Career and College Academy and also supporting students and their goals. That is their primary mission. So it's my honor to welcome the Walzer Foundation to be an official friend of Bloomington Public Schools. And Nancy Warner is here with us this evening, the director of the Walzer Foundation.
I'd just like to take a moment to thank you for this opportunity. It is a perfect match for the foundation. We're very dedicated to education as well as the committees in which we operate our businesses. And we're very excited to see the automotive pathway be implemented next fall and work with Hennepin Technical College on that as well. And we thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Next, we have a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day proclamation. Director Steiger?
Be it resolved that the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves the attached proclamation recognizing January 18th, 2016 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'd like to read the proclamation. Whereas the Bloomington Public Schools join our nation in recognizing January 18th, 2016 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and whereas Bloomington recognizes that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and work reflected the importance of making America a place where equality and justice, freedom and peace could grow and flourish. Therefore, be it resolved that the Bloomington Board of Education, Independent School District Number 271, Bloomington, Minnesota, does hereby proclaim January 18th, 2016 as Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and ask all citizens of Bloomington to remember and reflect on the principles of racial equality and nonviolent social change, excuse me, espoused by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and to rededicate themselves to the philosophy, I'm sorry, that we can all share the dream for a better life, not only in Bloomington, but also in the world. Thank you. Excuse me.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy secured progress on civil rights in the United States. In 1964, Reverend King received the Nobel Peace Prize for his work to end racial segregation and racial discrimination through nonviolent means and civil disobedience. On behalf of the Human Rights Commission, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm sorry I didn't get to introduce you. That was Daniela Kunkel, a Human Rights Commissioner for the City of Bloomington.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next, the school board would just like to recognize and thank Robin Kruger, the Olson Elementary Art Specialist, for having her students and the Olson Kids Safari students provide the original art for the 2015 holiday cards that were sent out by board members and the superintendent. Unfortunately, Robin couldn't be here tonight, but we do want to thank her. The cards were great again this year. Thank you. At this time, we ask if there's anyone who wishes to address the board on an item that's not on the agenda. Seeing no one come forward, we'll move on. That brings us to the Board of Education organizational matters for 2016. Would someone like to move?
Yep. Chair Bartolotta, I would like to move parts A and B of Section 7 regarding board meeting study sessions and business functions as outlined in the meeting packet of this evening.
Second.
Is there any discussion regarding this? Hearing none, all in favor of numbers A and B in Part 7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? None. That brings us to the letter C. Would someone like to move letter C? Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move letter C with the following names for Chair: Maureen Bartolotta, for Clerk Nellie Corman, and for Treasurer Jim Sorman.
Second.
Thank you. And that is regarding signatures on checks.
Yes.
All in favor, and is there any discussion about this? Hearing none, all in favor of the section C, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Next, would someone like to move?
Madam Chair,
Thank you, Director Bennett.
I'd like to move parts D through J of the agenda, and they are the signature of contracts, school board attorney, insurance agent, architectural service, construction manager, board representation, and board compensation, board compensation is not changing.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion regarding these matters? Hearing none, all in favor of this section D through J, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you. That brings us to our regular board business. And would someone like to move Part 8?
Second.
Thank you. These are our minutes, our personnel items, classified leaves of absence and retirements, and contract language. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of Part A, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Brings us to school calendar for 2016-17. Someone like to make the resolution?
Madam Chair,
Thank you.
be it resolved, the School Board of Independent School District 271 approves the calendar for the 2016-2017 school year.
Second.
Thank you. Our Assistant Superintendent, Eric Melby, is here to discuss this calendar for me, of course.
Thank you, Chair Bartolotta, Superintendent Fujitaki, and members of the board. We have a calendar committee in the district that puts together proposed calendars for the school board and for the school district. I'd like to thank the members of the calendar committee publicly. They include Tom Bennett from the school board, and then some staff people, Patty Artiel, Jeremy Coons, Bridget M. from Kennedy, because I always say her last name wrong, Jennifer Thorpe-Wassman, and Chinda Greger from the Office of Educational Equity. We held a few meetings this fall to get going. It's a great group. They're used to doing calendar planning, and they do it well. We came up with some proposed calendars. We sent them out to the buildings and got feedback. Based on that feedback, came up with a final calendar, which we then shared out with PTSA, with labor management, with district management meetings, which I hold monthly. And that's the calendar that you see in front of you. So it's had a thorough vetting and approval process from various groups, and administration recommends approval of the proposed calendar.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Director Sorn.
Madam Chair, Mr. Melby, the fact that we're starting this 2016 after Labor Day is just one of those regular calendar type events. This past year, we started before Labor Day because Labor Day was late.
Right.
Something like that. So that's the rationale. It could change every year, so we don't get caught up in the why are you starting before Labor Day, and it's
Correct, yep. The committee considered that, and last year, this year's school calendar was the late as Labor Day can be, I think, and so that decision was made by previous calendar committee. This one's recommending the start date as per usual, which is after Labor Day. And I should note, and I should have noted earlier, once this calendar gets approved and we move forward, I'm going to reconvene the calendar committee to start working on the 17-18 calendar, and we'll bring that for your approval hopefully this spring sometime so we can get ahead of the game a little bit. And I would also note that on that calendar committee, we're going to add one more member, and that will be a parent representative from the PTSA.
Good. Any further questions? Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I would just like to echo Assistant Superintendent Melby's comments and say thank you to the committee. This isn't easy to do. It's a it's a lot more work than you think. So just want to say thanks for ironing out all the issues on this.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All in favor of the 2016-17 school calendar, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you. That brings us to a status report regarding our board goals for 2015 and 16. I just want to point out that Goal 1 was updating the master facilities plan. We've had a retreat, and the deferred maintenance plan will be studied at the April 25th, 2016 study session. Goal number 2 was to develop a long-range financial plan that included an operating referendum plan and right-sizing the budget 2 plan. September 28th, 2015, at our board meeting, we approved the guiding change document. At our December 14th, 2015 board meeting, we charged the superintendent to study and present findings about renewing the current referendum. And at that same meeting, we agreed to the right-sizing the budget 2 targets. The board will decide on an operating referendum plan by June 2016, and the board will approve the actual right-sizing the budget 2 adjustments by March 2016. Goal 3 was to establish a schedule of progress reports by administration, and they have begun. First report was October 3rd, 2015 on facilities, and also negotiations were reported on at that time. And technology, we had a progress report on December 14th, 2015. Goal 4 was to establish a board policy committee. August 24th, 2015, policy was updated to establish a board policy committee, and the committee has begun meeting and operating. Goal number 5, to update the superintendent evaluation system, and we are in that process, and forms went to the full board at the January 4th organizational study session, and we're moving forward with that. And goal 6 is to establish a community engagement committee, and that committee has also been established. It's meeting and operating. So that's our status report, and we'll be working on board goals for 2016-17 coming up here quickly. Any questions or comments about that? Well, hearing none, we shall move on to board member reports. Go ahead.
Sure. This
Director
morning, we had an opportunity to go over to Oak Grove Middle School. I actually went to Olson Middle School on accident and then realized I was at the wrong building and then went to Oak Grove. And saw their prime time, so it was their students. And they aren't, what I learned about their group there was that they aren't elected, they're selected from the teachers, and students can volunteer if they want to help out the school in any way possible. So that was very interesting, very fun to be able to watch.
Thank you. Anyone else? Director Bergstrom, yes.
Okay, our Senior Achievement Committee met and got things started 2 weeks ago, was it 3 weeks ago? We got another meeting coming up here soon to get that particular evening an event planned. That's always an interesting and fun evening. Went over to Poplar Bridge for their winter party. And I wasn't sure how they were going to have it because it wasn't great weather then. And when I walked inside, I walked into the middle of a snowball fight. And what they do for the snowball fight is they take a little cup of water, and they take cotton balls, dip them in the water, and then take a plastic spoon, and they try to aim it at a target that's it's in the hallway, and the kids were having fun. And I walked in, and they said, "Oh, great, you're just in time. We need somebody tall." And somebody had shot a snowball up into the skylight. And so I was able to reach up and grab it. It's nice to be helpful when you come to those things. But it was a lot of fun to see these guys doing different things. Was able to go to the Rhythm and Gold Spaghetti Dinner over at Kennedy. Spaghetti dinner was really good. I managed to catch the middle school choir, and I don't know what the name of that choir is, so if anyone does, you can step in and remind me. But they nailed it. They hit the ball out of the park. It was really fun to hear them sing, and it was very, very well attended. So that's always a fun event. And just this last Monday, this board had our organizational meeting that went over the agenda for tonight, which is why we were able to do that so quickly, because we practiced. 9/17, I also had a board meeting. One of the items on that particular agenda was 9/17's teacher contract. We had a long discussion about one of the items. There was an MOU on the end of it, and I think the minutes of that meeting should have been distributed electronically. If they aren't, they'll be coming soon. In the end, I ended up abstaining from the vote on that because we're not there yet here in the home district, and I didn't want to risk setting any precedent. And I do want to apologize to the Oak Grove Middle Student Council. I missed their meeting this morning. I ran into an issue, but it shouldn't have taken me away from the meeting, so I want to publicly apologize for missing that meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you. Director Sorm?
Sure, just to follow up a little bit on the meeting this morning with the students, it was always nice, and it reminded me that I think there should be a requirement for every board member to attend an elementary, a middle school, and a high school start time. Get there 15 minutes before the school starts so you can see what goes on in the hallways and so forth. And then, while you're there, or later on in the day, then serve lunch at all of those schools, one elementary and so forth like that, so you can see how the students behave and act and communicate then, and then to go back again at closing, where in the first time when the kids get there, they're kind of slow and going in, but when it's time to leave school, they make a beeline for the buses and they're just really energized to get out. But it's a good experience to see kids in action at all of those phases, at all of those ages. And today they were doing the pennies for patients. They were writing letters to various companies, handwritten letters to request donations, as well as forming boxes, making boxes to put in all the classrooms in the schools so that they can have people donating their pennies. But we also had a special education advisory committee meeting earlier too, and I was really impressed when we started talking about it, and too bad Jennifer isn't here to defend some of the acronyms that are used in special education, but as we were talking about, one of them was new to me, was the twice exceptional student. And evidently that's been around for a while, but to realize that we have so many different categories or designations of students, and each of the students' special needs that they all have. So it's really good to see that we have the IEPs and the PGPs in place now so that we can give attention to the kids in the proper condition or positioning that they need. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell them what twice exceptional is?
Oh, thank you. Twice exceptional student, for those who don't know, is we might have a gifted student who might have a special need in another category, or we might have ADHD or something like that with them, so that within the same student, there can be very high intelligence in some things, but yet some other type of special need, behavior, or something else that qualifies them for these special needs. And it's just, I said like that was just my new introduction to it, and I apologize because it's been around for a while. But yet now we're formulating a more collaborative effort between our gifted and talented department and our special education department in working on some of those transitions.
That's a good idea.
Oh, thank you. Anyone else?
I can go.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Nellie. Okay. Okay, I also had a chance to attend the Kennedy spaghetti dinner, and, of course, everything was great. The shows were great. But what I wanted to share is I was talking to a parent there, And this happened to be a parent that grew up in Bloomington, went to schools here. And I had said that I had gone to the show with the students before the break, you know, and that was a different experience than going at night and sitting with all the students. And he told me, he said, I remember coming as an elementary student and thinking, I want to be that person on stage. And he said, then I went to Kennedy, I was in the show choir, and now I'm here as a show choir parent because my kids are on stage. So I just thought that was a really interesting story, that how much we don't realize that that field trip inspired him, you know, as a child, and what it's done. So I thought it was a nice story. But then I also attended the District Diversity Advisory Committee, and there was such great ideas. The staff went around, and the representative from each building got to talk about what was going on in their building and what were some of the things that they were doing. And then, you know, it was really great for everybody to share so people could hear what's going on. And I heard some discussion afterwards, people talking about, you know, wanting an idea from somebody else that they wanted to do at their buildings. I thought it was a great way to share ideas and what was going on in their buildings. I also attended the PTSA meeting this week, and the main topic was the district-wide food drive planning, and then there was a presentation about homeless youth. And the guest speaker was program manager from Oasis for Youth, and so that was very interesting to talk about the homeless youth, especially when you think about the weather we have right now. You know, it's just very interesting. And I thought the PTSA members asked really great questions and really interested in, you know, generated a lot of conversation around homelessness. And I just wanted to also say that the PTSA is having their parent speaker Thursday, January 21st at 7 o'clock here, Oak Grove Middle School. And the topic is Money Matters, 5 things you need to teach your kids about personal finance. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to go ahead?
Well, I just attended one event, one particular event this weekend. And if you remember, about 3 months ago, I told you about this group of 4 boys who are from Oak Grove Elementary. And they formed a robotic team, and then they're part of the Lego League, and they were part of the tournament that they had back then. It's this big organization that had put together, you know, this special event, and the kids get together and they work for months, and, you know, building their own Lego designs, you know. And then, which is particularly interesting about this is that they can only start when they are 9 years old, but the kids, the 4 kids, are actually 8-year-old kids. And so they have to ask for special permission to be able to participate. Anyway, this is what is interesting too. It's being so little and participating, you know, with so many different students from other areas, not only from Bloomington. They were the only ones from the Bloomington schools, elementary schools. And they made it to sectionals. So this past weekend, we went to Elk River. Where my son happens to be part of that group anyway. But they went to Elk River to participate in the sectionals tournament. And even though they didn't make it to state, you know, participating with 350 kids who are older than they are, you know, kind of competing against them too, and including middle schoolers. It was just amazing to see how at one point they were at the very top of the list in their division, where there are six groups in just one division, 6 teams. And so the amount of time and effort that our kids, you know, put into all those different things that they do, you know, the love that they put in it, and how well they can represent our school district in no matter what age they are. It's just unbelievable. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you. You know, we have little kids with amazing hearts and determination to do a lot of different things. So, yeah.
Thank you. Cool. Anyone else? They'll take us to our superintendent's report.
Thank you. Our school board holds joint meetings with the city council. Over the past 12 months, we've had 3 meetings. Goes back to December 2014 was the first one. We've had 2 more meetings in April and September, so every 4 to 5 months we hold a joint meeting. Therefore, administration requests a motion to establish another joint meeting on February 29th at 7 PM to be held here in the Arlene Bush Boardroom. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor of a meeting, excuse me, a joint meeting with the city on February 29th, 7 PM, here in the Arlene Bush Boardroom, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? None.
Thank you. I'll take this opportunity on behalf of the school community to thank Representative Ann Lecheski for years of service to the school district and the community. She served since 1999 in our state legislature. Her achievements and accomplishments on behalf of our school community and our school and our city will be long remembered and appreciated. And we wish her well in her new endeavors. And finally, kindergarten registration. It starts at the end of this month at our elementary schools. They're going to host events. So families of incoming kindergartners for the 16-17 school year, please check your respective attendance area school websites for the dates and times of those events. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the board this evening? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.